Well, let's get started. Welcome to Over 50, starting over, everyone. And I'm Barry Edwards.
And I'm Merle Garrison.
We're trying to change things up a little bit there. Oh,
Merle Garrison. Happy Friday.
Good. Yeah. Beautiful Friday here. And it's been really hot but gorgeous here.
It's almost been hot 90 over there?
You're last kidding. 2 days.
Wow.
Today, yesterday night, about 90. And no humidity, though.
Well, that's good.
Really nice. So, of course, I take off for a bike ride last night. And I get all the way down to past just a little Italy. And on the other side of it in University Circle. Right. And I get a flat. I get my first flat of the season. Remember last year I had about 7?
Got out of the way, yeah.
And so,
7 and 8. That's not so
needless to say, hey, I'm prepared. I got my brand new inner tube in the pack. I got a brand new pump, mini pump, you know.
Yeah.
So I go up into this churchyard where it's nice and open and in the shade. And I'm just telling myself, don't get angry. You know, I usually blow a fuse and it's like, I'm not playing into that. I'm prepared.
Right.
And,
and you can be calm and collected.
Exactly. I'm going to enjoy this. I'll change my plans. I was going to meet Dan at East 55th. Right. I text him. I'm way late here. We'll see how this goes. And, so I changed the tube. I'm a pro at this, you know.
Right. I could do it. Done it a billion times, exactly. Right?
So I put the new inner tube in, and get the new pump up, brand new pump, mini pump there, and screw that thing all together. I had to figure out how to use it first, and start pumping that thing up, and pumping and pumping and pumping. And
those little pumps, man, that's a workout.
Yeah, so I'm thinking this thing really sucks because I never got any air in this thing. And so I go through that for a long time, and I'm like, all right, I'm not going to blow a fuse.
Right.
But this tire is not going to be pumped up, and I know how this goes. I am jinxed with this thing. I have to walk home again with my bike. Right. And as I always do, yes, I'm walking back up through Little Italy, and right before I get to the hill, there's a little tiny bar, Lounge Louie. And that's where
we've talked about this place.
Yes. So I stop in there, and I'm like, I got a flat again. I'm like, I should bring a pump here and keep it behind the bar. And you could put on your sign, happy hour, $2 drafts and tire pump. And and as always, every time I'm in there, it's just me, the owner, ZZ Top guy, and and one other stranger. And I always end up having a great conversation. And so we started talking. It got all the way into social media and stuff. And it turns out that the young guy next to me finally starts chiming in because me and ZZ, we talk.
ZZ.
We just talk like there's no tomorrow, It's
right.
fun. And this guy was feeling like, I don't mean to. I'm like, dude, whatever, Turns out he's a grad student at Case, really smart, really nice, like probably 25. We got like the 25-year-old, a 55-year-old, and ZZ's like 65. And so then we get, the social media gets into the freedom of speech issue, which gets more and more interesting and complicated by the day, I think.
I agree.
And then it got into AI and quantum computers.
Wow, you guys went right in. I mean,
yes, and little Lounge Louie. Lounge Louie.
Wow, what a great thing.
Now, for instance, so maybe these are fortuitous things that I'm meant to do. Because I feel like, I'm walking back with my bike, and then I go through a fog, and I have to make my way through the fog, and then there appears this little tiny bar in the middle of nowhere.
Let's talk about quantum physics.
So last fall when this happened, there was a couple in there, a young couple from North Carolina, and I got to talking about how Lisa and I are looking forward to checking out Asheville, North Carolina,
right.
like we did Nashville, all these places. He's like, they're both telling us, no. I mean, that's so overplayed. It's so past its prime. But you really want to check out Boone, as in Daniel Boone, named after Daniel Boone. He goes, it's about 45 miles outside of it. And I look it up when I get home and everything. I put it in my notes, and it's like, hell yeah, that we are definitely going to check out Boone.
Okay.
Yeah. Boone. It's the up and coming that most people don't know about yet. That's
I've never heard of it.
It's about 45 miles outside of Asheville. So, and I look at the safety factors and all these, the cost of living, all these things, the weather patterns, and it clicks all the boxes like Nashville did for me.
I got you.
My point is, I get waylaid into these mysterious visits to Lounge Louie, and I have these really great meaningful time. So anyway, so this morning, so I get home, and I'm still
did you ever get to see Dan? You never saw Dan?
No, I had to cancel.
No. Yep.
But I still have the problem with my tire. So I'm walking back home after a few beers and I'm getting angry again because I'm thinking about this thing with my tire that keeps happening. So I just, I had enough for the evening. So this morning, couldn't go to the gym because I don't have my bike. I'm not driving to the gym in the beautiful weather like this. So I go and check out my tire, fresh mind to look at it.
Yeah.
My brand new tire had a hole in it. My inner tube.
You're kidding me. The inner tube had a hole. What are the chances of that?
Exactly. I'm telling you, man, I'm jinxed in this regard. So I patched it. Yeah, so I patched it this morning and put it back together.
Your new inner tube.
Exactly.
That sucks.
I guess from now on, I have to go through an extra step. I'm going to put another brand new inner tube in my pack.
Right.
And next time, like today, when I get another flat tire and I pull out the brand new one, I'm going to try pumping that up first and look for leaks before I put it in.
That's a shame.
I have to go through just higher and higher levels of whatever you want to call this. Yeah.
Out here, I've decided I'm done changing tires. I've changed hundreds of tires. I hate it. And
it's
so
messy.
now when I live in LA, so now when my bike breaks down, I have a flat, I just walk it to the nearest bike shop.
When you got one on every corner. See,
there's a million of them around here. Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, just walk over. Sometimes it's a couple miles, but it's worth it to avoid all of that. It's so frustrating.
It is. And, when you know how to do it, it's not that difficult. The difficult thing is if you have to patch something, if you don't have water nearby that you can dip your inner tube in, good luck finding that hole.
Oh, no kidding. And the part I hate the most is putting the tire back on.
Yes. It's messy. The chain
and just the chain. Sometimes it's really tough to get the tire around the rim.
Yeah.
I've pinched my fingers pretty bad in there.
Well,
and then I yell out.
You need this tool.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, that plastic tool.
Yeah, and you just
it's all the difference in the world.
Tools make the difference.
Really, absolutely.
Tools make the difference.
Let's get on with the show.
I wanted to talk to you about this event that happened over here this weekend.
What's that?
So last Friday, I was coming home. We were out and thought I smelled smoke, when we got out of the car. It's not another fire. Well, it's really weird to have a forest fire here in Los Angeles in the springtime. It just doesn't happen.
In the spring, because it happens at the end of summer.
Yeah, because it's usually, there's growth. It's all green up in there and everything. So the next morning it's all, cloudy and everything. And it's because there's a huge fire going on. There was an arsonist up in the very place I've driven you through. An arsonist was up there.
I saw that in the
fires
news.
All weekend. This is right down the street from my house.
Yeah.
And it ruined the whole, it was just smoke filled. There's 1,500 acres of burning everything. And I got these, my favorite place to hike, to Eagle Rock. I've got before and after pictures. I didn't have a chance to pull it up, but before, beautiful. Oh my gosh, this is so. Look at the valley. Oh my gosh, you can see the ocean from after. Just a smoky wasteland. Nothing. There's nothing. It's just ash. It's an amazing wilderness. This area that's completely cleared out now. Animal life completely gone. They caught the guy. They think they caught him.
Uh-huh.
They're pretty sure this is a guy who was a homeless guy.
Of course, I was thinking that you guys got so many degrees of mental illness going on,
Yes,
you know.
yes, it
So
is serious. But to cause that, fortunately, no one was injured. No houses were damaged, but to cause that much damage, I
oh, it's a
mean,
shame.
think how I mean, he completely affected the climate here, in a giant area, just smoke everywhere, destroyed a giant area with fire. They couldn't catch him. They were chasing this guy for days, trying to get him to stop setting fires. They'd get its fire contained, another one would start up. This is I mean, that's just one guy. Amazing how much damage this one guy did.
No,
And what
that's really a
causes
shame.
somebody to want to do that?
Well, that's like I said, you guys have a lot of varying degrees of mental illness. And then you get the COVID lockdown on top of it. Well, I don't think that really affects homeless guys at all. But
no.
you just got varying degrees of mental illness there.
The COVID lockdown, these guys that are homeless, a lot of them make their money, they survive by panhandling. So with the COVID crisis,
some make really good money doing that.
Well, yeah, but people weren't on the streets anymore. So these guys actually were affected by COVID, by the lockdown, because they didn't have anybody to collect money from. Nobody was around.
That's true.
There's a whole, like, it's like dominoes. What happened with the lockdown? So many different things out here and every place else. The things that I'm sure we won't discover for years that were a chain reaction to this whole thing.
I think you're absolutely right. You got me thinking about last weekend. I had a good time working very hard with my brother. We are installing a new patio in my mom's house. And do you see this?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my brother there. And so my job was to haul all those bricks from the front pallets into a wheelbarrow and bring them out.
See that.
And yeah, so it was hard work, but it was a gorgeous day. It was about 65 degrees. And so it was perfect for that kind of weather.
Wow, 65. That is perfect.
And I love working with my brother.
What is it that you like working with your brother? What is it that you like so much? Well, we've said this several times. Scott, right?
Yeah, Scott. Yeah. It's he's really good at building all this stuff. That's what he does for a living. He teaches industrial arts shop, and he gets recruited for every project in the entire neighborhood, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And so he's really good at, so I always learn a lot. You know me, I remodeled my whole house.
Right.
So I've gotten good at being a handyman, but working with him, it's always something outside. And I like working with my hands because I don't do it enough, because I'm behind a computer all the time. And we just have really good conversations. And then after that, we went to Panini's and had a couple beers and lunch, and just a really fun time on a beautiful day. It's just, spending time with my brother. I don't spend enough time with him,
That is so cool. There's nothing like that, right? Spending time with your brother, and you're having a good time and going out to eat afterwards, doing stuff
productive.
Together. Yeah. That's really, really cool.
It's very rewarding when you build something and you can, look at it forever. So we're trying to get this done enough for Memorial Day, where we're having Thanksgiving. And so
that's right.
Want to be able to use that patio next weekend, and it'll be done. Yeah, I'm going out there again tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful back. That's the back of your mom's house, right?
Yes.
That's beautiful back there. Nice and green and
big yard.
Peaceful. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really deep and everything. So yeah, it's a lot of shade and sun. You got the mix. No, it's beautiful back there. It's the whole neighborhood where she lives. I feel like when I'm walking a dog or something around there, I feel like I'm in the old campgrounds where we used to go when we were kids. There's that smell in the air. It's just so woodsy.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. And you get like a giddy kind of feeling from that.
At least nature brings you back.
It does.
We spend so much time in artificial environments, and that's what any shrink will tell you is you need to get out in nature, go for a hike.
What I love is springtime. Oh, I love that. Yeah. The springtime, all the smells and everything of spring are awesome. Now let me ask you this, Barry, because we're hearing that the cicadas have come out in your neck of the woods.
I haven't seen them.
You haven't? Oh,
Mm-mm.
okay. Huh. Interesting. I remember they're every 17 years. They say it's sort of the Midwest
Yeah.
and Northeast.
But it seems to
Where
me
they
we
are.
just had them about 3 or 4 years ago.
Is that right? I saw it in the news, and I saw it on the Weather Channel, and it was weird because there was a guy, and he was like, "Look at these beautiful cicadas," and they're showing them up close, and there's a billion of them, just sitting around, and I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, beautiful? Those are the most horrifying bugs with those bulbous white or red eyes and the shells they leave all over.
They're harmless, but they're creepy.
They're
like
gross.
you don't want them in your hair.
You don't want one walking on you or on my bald head. But and I heard somebody in the video go, "Well, how long do these shells hang around? I mean, will they go away soon?" And somebody goes, "No, they're going to be around for a long time."
Yeah.
Like I remember they stuck around for like a year. And I remember
a summer. They'll last the whole summer.
Yeah. And I was always in charge of the yard. So when I was 17, they came out and then, having to dig around and, that's a shell. Okay.
Right.
All right. So it's not there.
No, not at all. We're going to have to get moving forward. There's a few things I wanted to share here.
Yeah.
And number one is like Lisa is, she had problems. She still hasn't found our after show from last week. And I noticed that in one of my links, I didn't, for whatever reason, it didn't take. I put the wrong link in there. So, but I wanted to show people because Lisa's always like, I don't know how to find this. Can you resend me this link, this, that, and the other? And it's, there are so many ways to find our material. I want to show you the easiest one because I think this is probably common. If it's a common problem for Lisa, it probably is for a lot of people. So if you're ever wondering where our stuff is, just go to over50startingover.com. Do you see this, Merle?
I do. I was just looking at that picture of me at the bottom with my eyes all big and wide.
Well, there you go. So this is the top of the page. This is what you see. As soon as you get there, you scroll right to here. And there is our latest video. Now it is not the after show, but it's our regular. It's like this was 4.3, season 4, episode 3. And here's what I want to show you. See the read more? If you click on that, this takes you to the post page, the entire with our show notes completely intact. Here is the after show with the wrong link. Sorry. Also, I have links to all of our podcast channels as well. So everything is here. Go to over50startingover.com and hit the read more button to get to everything that we have. Now, of course, if you simply subscribe to our show, you'll get these links right into your email box. You'll get everything. See this pop-up window right here? You can subscribe right there, and boom, that's all. Then you just
do it. That's what you should do. Is sign up.
It's simple.
Have it come to you. Yeah,
there you
that's
go.
the easiest way.
All right, so moving along, I got a really good tip for you guys. I'm not sure what you're looking at right now.
I'm seeing us in two different pictures of us. So that's kind of cool. Okay.
Oh, do you see this?
Oh, this is fun stuff to talk about.
This is just a fun thing that I just was reading this morning on Quora, and there's a question: do you think America is a safe place for people of color? I don't know what's going on with Quora. I think maybe they're trying to sell it or something because everything is about race, every single question, and so they're trying to, I think, drum up as much crap as they can. But this chart, I'm going to try. Let's talk about it for people that are listening and not watching this. This chart nails it. So at the top of this chart, going over the top, it says, if a white person, and there's all of these boxes of different choices that this white person can make, then all of them lead to the big box going across the bottom. Racism. So for one, if a white person moves out like of their neighborhood, well, that's called white flight. And that is racism. If a person moves in to a neighborhood, well, that's gentrification, which is racism. If a person sees color, that's racism. Don't see color, well, that's ignoring racism, which is racist. If a person doesn't partake in culture, they're not inclusive. So that's racist. But if they do engage in culture, well, that's cultural appropriation, which is racist. So I think that nails it. I like that. I like that a lot.
I think it's also interesting how this graphic comes across, because there's large print in here, and it basically says, if you're looking at it from far away, if a white person, racism.
There you go. There you go. Isn't that the truth?
It's a terrible thing though, what's going on right now. I can't
Yes.
even believe the critical race theory stuff out there.
So bad. And it's also, though, it's getting into mainstream discussion now, thank God, because these people in the education system are always trying to shut down that kind of conversation.
Yes.
And, parents start complaining about it and going public with it, and they're always trying to bury that conversation.
That's absolutely the truth. And you're right. I mean, it's getting into everything. We actually have had several states now that put bills out there, passed into law, that critical race theory would not be taught in these schools. But what a terrible thing. I just found out that this is now permeating our military, and they're teaching. Are they teaching them? I don't know what's going. I can't imagine if somebody started, okay, we're going to have this class about inclusiveness, and started. I would freak out. I don't know. I would not be able to deal with that.
When it comes to the military, it kind of magnifies the outcomes even more so than with individual professions. Like, so if instead of equality, and this is in everything in education, they don't say equality, they say equity.
It's a big difference.
It's a huge difference, because equality is what we want, equal opportunity for everyone.
Right.
And we have that. We do have
correct.
that.
Yes.
But if you're trying to make everything equitable, so you're trying, we need to have for engineers, we need 50% women.
Yeah.
And but the thing is that we think differently. We have different aptitudes. And this is coming from Jordan Peterson's stuff. This isn't me. Just relaying it. And he says, with women are more about people. They're people oriented. They care about people so much more. Men are more things, problem solver oriented. And boy, you get us into a conversation with our partners, and that's men. It's like, would you just shut up and listen? You don't need to solve everything for us, because that's what we try to do.
Right.
So
naturally, or some guy opens up his car hood and 10 guys show up because we all want to solve the problem.
Yeah. Or if they're just working on something, even if you're just go over there and stand there with
around.
A beer. We just love Home Depot. Man, I love Home Depot. That's a place where you get stuff to solve problems.
Why do women don't do this? But for some reason, we're drawn to this.
We do. Hey, that's why we have an infrastructure, because we build things. So in an engineering field, that's why you just naturally, it's predominantly men. It's
that's
just
right.
natural.
That's right.
It's equal opportunity. They have equal opportunity. Nursing is predominantly female because it's people oriented.
Right.
It's just natural. So then you get to the military where, so they're trying to curb things such as doing the physical. If you're talking Navy SEALs, you got to pass some very, very physical tests. So now they want to curb that because, naturally, physically, women can't do as much as men. And I don't know, when it really hits the fan, I want the best qualified person behind me to save my butt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
I don't
everybody
care about
would
social. Social justice, politics has no place for that.
I don't think in the foxhole, I doubt anybody's thinking about social justice and well, maybe the woman or maybe the guy should, you know what I mean? It's hey, they're trying to kill us. Right. And we need the best people, whether it's a man or a woman, the best people. Right. That should be it. So you talked about equality, equal opportunity, equity is equal outcomes. That's what they're looking for. One is opportunity. The other one is guaranteed outcomes. So what that means, and by the way, that's a communist philosophy.
You're penalizing other people.
So it takes away all human incentive. I mean, we are our whole psychology is based on competition. Take away competition, you take away any type of will to overcome. You've taken away all the incentives. And so why work so hard if you're only going to get the same as everybody else?
And that's what's going to destroy this country.
It destroys brains is what it does.
It really does.
And it turns you into a person that can't have critical thinking anymore. You just do what people tell you to do. You believe what people tell you to believe. You lose yourself.
Well, the whole free world is at risk with that, because we have to rely on innovations. The U.S. has always relied on being the most innovative, which that comes from capitalism, because you reward people for trying harder. And, as we always talk about, we're right on the precipice of the technological breakthroughs that whoever wins that war rules. So whether it's a space race or AI, the whole quantum computing thing, whoever wins that war really wins the whole prize.
Yeah, it's pretty serious what you're talking about right now, Barry. It's intelligence, and whatever nation is able to make the most sense of the intelligence in the world is the one that has the power. And this country has been innovative above any other country probably in human history when you take a look at technology that's actually occurred over the last 100 years. And it really is, Barry, because of the soil that we have here, not the actual soil, but the actual foundation of our society,
our culture.
Our culture. It's a free market society that we have here that's rooted in justice and equality. And when you have that, which has never existed before in the past, you see what's happened, but that's being curtailed right now.
Right.
And we're seeing it all over the place, and we're seeing it in our media. We're seeing it in our ability to communicate. We're seeing people that are being excommunicated. They're being taken completely off of our radar. Look what they did to Donald Trump. A lot of people were happy about that, granted. However, that's the president of the United States. So the ability to censor completely a president, he was still the president when they did that, is scary. And we take a look at some of the effects that are happening all around us right now.
Yeah, that's I want to talk about that some more. Is a little bit of what we talked about in Lounge Leo last night, which even saying Lounge Leo kind of cracks me up a little bit.
It's funny, man.
But I want to talk about the concept of freedom of speech as it applies to today with our technology and social media and all that. But just for a minute, I want to show you something that I'm going to talk about next week. I was going to talk about this in our upfront section today, but we just got carried away in our conversation. And so I'm just going to introduce it now, but I'll talk about this in more detail next week. And that is doing social media posts for your company. And isn't that something that all of us want to do? That's how you promote yourself these days. But who's got time to sit there all day feeding your social media if you're trying to work, right? Well, do you see my whole screen, Merle? Like two different.
I see two different things. Yes.
Cool. Okay. So this is my Edwards Communications page, and you see my case studies right here. And I have a whole bunch of different blogs. I'm going to show you next week how I use a tool called Buffer to load up all of my social media posts and post them out for like a month or two in advance.
Really?
Yeah, wow. Automatically. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week. Yeah. It is very cool. So it's very important stuff. And I do that for my clients, and I'm doing it. Obviously I do it for myself. And I'll tell you what, I do it for my clients for about $250 a month. So it's a good deal for them to have their social media taken care of. And that's not very much money,
Yeah.
So it just takes a little upfront. You got to have the content before you can.
Well, that's the thing, having the content.
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
Speaking of content, so it's back to the free speech thing. See, it's starting to show itself how tricky this is, because by default, you and I both want to say, and I think we've done this over and over again on the show, we kind of by default get back to, at the end of the day, freedom of speech. Just, you got to protect that 100%.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
But it gets tricky now, and it's starting to get trickier where that's not such an easy thing to default to because of
dígame.
Yeah, because of all the manipulation with there's a lot of different ways, but the manipulation with governments coming in and hiring people like Russia and China, I'm talking about in particular, that come into say virtual rooms and stuff like that and put in a lot of misinformation to incite people and get them riled up and to cause additional division. So that's where it's kind of like what we saw with 9/11. These people, man, they've found ways to use our freedom against us. And that's
Amen.
exactly what they're trying to do.
That is exactly right.
So when they hijack these planes where we have all this freedom, they'll go through an airport and not feel like you're going to get jumped and frisked. You know what I mean? Prior to 9/11, we had a lot of freedom in those airports, as we should. It's America. That's what we take pride in. After 9/11, well, look how we get treated in airports now. And they use their freedom against us. That's what they wanted to accomplish. This is what they're doing now.
That's exactly right, Barry.
With our freedom of speech. And so it's gotten really dicey. They put so much misinformation out there. And I always come back to Parler. I think it's a perfect example of hysteria, how free speech got kind of hijacked and ran away with into hysteria. But so I don't have any answers to this. I'm just bringing up that I'm becoming more aware of how this is problematic. And I think we got to get Rex Lee on here, have this conversation about what do we do here? I don't know, but I'm only becoming more and more aware of the full picture as we go.
There are a lot of smart people out there that have ideas on what to do about this. But to your point here, Barry, I'm reading this book right now called The Stealth War, how China has duped America's elite. And this is written by a guy named Robert Spalding. He is a brigadier general, and he was in the Obama administration under the national security. He was heading up the National Security Administration. He was under the Trump administration, specializing in the relationship between China and the United States, and lived in China for many, many years. He was educated there, actually. So this guy knows a little bit about China. To your point, he's talking about how the Chinese, as of 2016, had about 2 million citizens who were employed by the Communist Party of China, and they are monitoring the internet, and they're looking for people that are dissenting from the Communist Party of China, and these people just disappear. And so so there's your freedom of speech. The Chinese government, or actually it's the Chinese Communist Party, sees our liberties and freedoms here in the United States as a direct threat to them and to their national security. And so their goal, and this is a written goal by the Chinese Communist Party, is to suppress and eliminate our freedoms. They do not want the Chinese people, the citizens there, to see the types of freedoms that we have here, because of course they will want those. And the Chinese Communist Party does not want to share power with anyone. That's how this is how they're actually able to thrive. There's a lot of pretty scary things there that are going on, but what we're finding, the other book that I'm reading right now is called Breaking the News. This is by Alex Morrow. And he's talking about how the Chinese government, the Chinese Communist Party, actually is controlling and manipulating our media. And our news media, CNN, MSNBC, maybe Fox News even. I think they're all in. And
I do too.
And so one of the big areas that they're attacking, when we talked about this earlier, is our race relations here in the United States. The Chinese Communist Party believes that the Chinese are the master race. We've heard that before. That's never a good thing. And they understand that they can use our freedoms and liberties against us, as you said. They're doing it today exactly the way that you said that they're doing it. And that is it. And what they want us to do is they want to, as we're being attacked, they want us to they want our government to restrict those liberties and take them away from us. That is a win for China. And that's what we have to resist. We cannot let that happen. The more we capitulate to this fear tactic, and Corona was used as a gigantic fear tactic to shut down our liberties. Out here in California, we just had a major victory over these liberties because, as you mentioned, the First Amendment, freedom of speech, is also intertwined with the freedom of religion. As far as the founders were concerned, they were the same thing. And the churches were manipulated and shut down for about a year. Here in California, a church out in Pasadena won a permanent injunction here in the state of California that says that the state can't shut down the church. It's essential. It's as essential as the First Amendment. You cannot lose that. This sets up a precedent for the rest of the states. If a lockdown were to ever come again, they would be able to point to this judicial precedent, and other states can be free too. Will a lockdown come again? I could almost guarantee it, Barry.
Yeah. I guess
Why would they not want to do that? Look at all these states right now. Pennsylvania, as a matter of fact, just passed a bill into law that would limit the governor of Pennsylvania's ability to sustain an emergency situation automatically without checks and balances indefinitely. And so this is happening all over the country. We're seeing this. It's happening in Michigan. We're seeing it all over the place. And we talked about this. It's the executive's ability to have unchecked powers in an emergency situation without any time limits becomes authoritarian and leading to tyranny.
It is, but I think, Lisa and I were just talking right before the podcast about the inflation that is just starting. And it's inevitable when you got our government writing people checks left and right, doing basically, what do you call that? Income redistribution.
That's right.
And so we're starting to pay the price. And, Biden can talk all day long about how he's going to tax the rich and companies and corporations. And people buy into that. It's about time. Well, we're the ones that pay the price in the terms of higher gas prices, food, and everything else. And it's like Lisa said, we got a lot of people we have a whole lot of people in this country that a difference in $100 a month more in groceries or $200 a month more in groceries and gas is a difference. It puts them back into poverty, really. And so you're saying that you can almost guarantee that we're going to go back into another lockdown. I just don't think our country could survive it.
It won't. No,
right.
It won't. That's why the people have to be prepared for this, and we have to be ready to fight back. I mean, this was supposed to be a 6-week thing, right, in the beginning, and it's been over a year now, and we still have lockdowns, partial lockdowns that are happening here. And this governor, by the way, in Pennsylvania, is going to take legal action to win that power back. They do not want to lose that power. This is what the whole recall is about here in California. It's because of the unnecessary overreach in executive power. The way these things are supposed to happen is that an executive can make a temporary decision in an emergency, but that the legislature has to have a particular amount of time to be able to weigh into that. For instance, the president of the United States can go to war and attack another country if we've been provoked in some way, but he only has that power for a short period of time before the legislature has to come in and actually declare war. Otherwise, they have to cease. And that's the way executive power is checked. But we're seeing that power unchecked across the country. And that always leads to bad things.
Yeah. It does.
When the people don't have a say, that's really what it is. When the people don't have a say on how their lives go, trouble happens.
No, for sure. We've emerged from an emergency situation. And if you detach from it, I know that you are really sensitive to this and in the midst of it, but if you can look at it as a real detached, if perhaps it's a 2020 hindsight 10 years from now.
Yeah.
Hopefully we did things pretty right, where we did enter an emergency situation, whether we locked down as much as we should have or not. it still remains to be seen what the best route is. We're going to learn a lot from the way we handled this.
I feel like the lessons have been learned, but go ahead.
Yeah. So, but hopefully we continue to recover from it. And what I mean is, as a democracy or republic, how do you say Republican democracy?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Democratic Republic. That's what I'm trying to say. As a democratic republic, hopefully we will recover and regain our freedoms as much as possible. I think that obviously you're concerned that we won't.
Well, I am. And this is the problem, Barry, is that we should never have lost our freedoms, because here's the deal is that you can never get them back. We've been talking about that all the time, is that once we capitulate and let the government take our liberty, they never give them back.
Yeah.
So we should be able to self-govern and say, hey, if let's just take the mask mandate, for instance.
Oh, sure.
What science is basically saying is this is like putting a screen door over your roof and saying it's not going to rain inside of your house. The mask is doing nothing to prevent a virus from happening.
I don't believe that. Where did you get that?
Okay, you get it from science. So you got the N95 mask. Why are they wearing them? It's because it's medically designed to restrict germs and viruses from coming in. And you put a cloth over your face, that's going to prevent dust from coming in, but not a virus.
People that are wearing bandanas, no, I agree.
That's what I'm talking about. But that's what it became.
I understand. Now the mask for sure has a true mask, and most people are wearing these medical kind of masks. Definitely.
Not most.
The common cold has been greatly reduced. Common flu was almost non-existent.
Well, it's because nobody came in contact with each other.
And there's that too. But
that's the reason.
I think that you really over-exaggerated how the effectiveness, the ineffectiveness of masks.
Yes, of a medical mask, I get it. But putting this... grabbing a cloth like my shirt and turning it into a mask, that's not medical quality. I work in hospitals. Totally, that's not going to do anything. Well, that's what 95% of the people are wearing. And
not out here. Not really? Anywhere I go. No.
Really?
No. Well, 95% of people are wearing medical masks.
Hold on. Let's just back up, because remember, the N95 mask was in short supply. We never actually got them. That's the medical mask. I don't know what you're talking about, but where are they getting these N95 masks?
I didn't say N95, but
that's the medical mask.
Like you see those blue ones.
That's not it though, Barry.
You go from talking about bandanas, and then you conflate that with these other masks that the common people are using, that they're buying at stores and are wearing.
That's not a medical mask. Sorry.
Well, okay, whatever. It works.
No, it's not whatever. It
works.
How do you know that?
Science. The reduction.
That's an easy answer.
That's what you just said.
I know, it was easy for me to say it.
Yeah. So I'm just using some common sense here. So it seems to me that it's curbed things a great deal. And I think that you're just taking it way over to that kind of far right argument of how this only took away your freedoms and it doesn't work.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I can't. How can you say, where is the medical evidence that a bandana is going to help you out there?
Again, I understand. Back to bandanas. How many people are doing That's what you seem to say, is that you're seeing everybody using bandanas, and I don't see that.
It's bandanas. It's okay. Well, maybe it's different in Ohio.
It may be, and Florida. Yeah.
But a medical mask isn't, you don't buy medical masks at the store.
I know what you're saying. So whatever you want to call the common masks that people are using, which does cover your nose and mouth, seems to me that has curbed things substantially.
Well,
common
agree
sense
to disagree. I don't know about common sense on that, because common sense lines up with math. And you saw what happened in Texas is they stopped wearing the mask and the virus went away. In fact, the deaths stopped. So how do you explain that?
After we got well past the curve, that's when they stopped doing it. I'm just saying, at the height of it, Absolutely, we did the right thing wearing masks. Absolutely.
I think it's still debatable. I don't think that's an absolute.
Okay.
No.
I don't think it's an absolute. I think it's
Well,
common sense, though.
Well, common sense doesn't mean it's right.
It's true. I mean, that's absolutely true. We could find evidence as we continue to examine this and move forward that masks never did a damn thing whatsoever. I doubt it, but it's possible. I highly doubt it. I think that when the smoke clears and people's emotions are out of it, it's going to be rather obvious that that's the right way to go when you're in the height of a pandemic.
Well, let me ask you this. Why did Dr. Fauci say at the beginning of this that we didn't need to wear masks?
Because he was manipulating. Everybody knows this now, that he wanted to make sure that we had masks for the medical professionals to use, that there wouldn't be the panic buying of all the masks.
So if it was so dangerous for us and we had to wear masks after that, so he just lied and
we know that. That's why everybody hates him. Yes.
But so why do we trust anything that they say then? If the guy in charge and the guys underneath of that are actually admitting that they're lying about us about this.
I don't trust
the maddening part.
So
why do we believe that masks actually worked?
Well,
they're the ones that are telling us this.
I just said, to me, it seems like common sense.
I gotcha.
In Japan, they've been doing that for God knows how long, maybe centuries or however long they've had it. When people have a cold, I mean, they do that as a matter of respect for other people. If you got a cold, they wear a mask. And
that's right. But not everybody else.
I think we can learn from that.
The person having the cold wears the mask, not everybody else. I think there's a big difference.
There's a big difference. And the difference is when you have a cold, yes, that rare person that has that cold, it would be really great if they wore a mask for the decency of other people. But when you're in the height of a pandemic that is highly contagious, I think for the short period of time, it's okay to mandate that people wear masks.
When did we ever do that before? I mean, we've had pandemics.
Well, when was the last one? Was it the Spanish flu? Like the
last one was
40s?
in the 60s, actually.
Yeah, what was 60s. That? What was
this? It was I think it was the swine flu.
I don't know.
We never did it before is the point. We've never done that before. So suddenly we do this and we do it worldwide and we've never done it before. They're not medical. We haven't said they have to be medical grade. We have not done that. It seems odd to me. And especially now, when the CDC comes out and says you can take your masks off outside and there's no scientific data that they can point to and say, this was the threshold that we were looking to get to. Even before that, we talked about this.
No, that's a moving target for them.
But so that's what I'm trying to say is that it seems pretty darn fishy to me that they didn't have anything to really buttress this and say like you said, it's a moving target. If it were science, it wouldn't be a moving target.
But
that's what's so crazy about the whole thing. They know what the virus is. They knew about it before it even got here. They said they didn't know about it. That was a lie too. We've proven that. This isn't far right stuff. This is just the truth. As you said.
I think we still have to take time to sift through to get to truth.
The world has been destroyed. This is how do we take time and look at this and go, well, we could figure it out in 10 years. The world's on fire. The world is completely destabilized right now. Yeah. You take a look at what's happening in Israel. That's a litmus test for what's happening in the Western world. We're a mess, man. I don't know how we get out of this. And it all started with this pandemic and how we handled it.
Right. It was a medical emergency worldwide. And what you got to realize is that medically speaking, we've been evolving at an exponential rate for the last 100 years, even the last 50 years. So it's not like you say, well, we haven't ever done this before or that before. No, every 10 years, we're doing things that we've never done before medically. It wasn't until 1867 that we had anesthetic. Prior to that, we were doing surgeries by holding people down with 4 big guys and performing surgery that way. That was only what, 150 years ago? My math is terrible. That wasn't that long ago. It was when I was 17 or 18, I had surgery on my shoulder. They had 2 pins put in it, and they gave me sodium pentothal to knock me out. That was horrifying. That made me so sick. It was so toxic. It was disgusting. I mean, recovering from the sodium pentothal was worse than recovering from the surgery. Just 15 years ago, I had surgery on my ankle and had plates and screws put in that because of breaking it. And I don't know what they use now, but it was like the most gentle thing, no toxicity whatsoever. They put me under very gently, and I woke up in the middle of surgery. They did a spinal, so I was numb from the waist down. So that was fine. And they said, they're like, hey, the guy's waking up. And they said to me, do you want to go back under, or do you want to just stay awake? And I was like, well, how much longer do we got? This is how lucid I was. And I was like, how much longer? And he looked at the clock. He goes, probably an hour and a half or something. I said, put me back under. And it was like the most gentle thing. Puts me back under. I wake up in my hospital room. That's creepy all in and of itself. How
that is
they do things to you. You just out.
And you're like unplugged.
Oof, man, it's creepy. But my point is the
evolution of
my God, it's amazing
to do this in such a short time.
Yeah.
However, I would say that I don't think that's what happened with suddenly we evolved into, the science says everybody should wear a mask. I never saw that. And I haven't seen the benefits of it either. And it's not, for me personally, this is about my freedom. It's about America. It's about the Constitution. It's about the people have the right, not the government doesn't just tell you what to do. That's what this is about to me. If you call that far right, go ahead, then I'm a far right guy. But I don't think it's right that the government comes in and out of my safety, just like out of my safety, what happened at the airport. I don't agree with that. I just don't think that's a good policy for America to have. It never had policies like this until really our lifetime. And I think that it's a slippery slope to a tyrannical government.
It is slippery. I hope that we get better leadership in the near future in the U.S. We've had a clown show going on here for years, and I liked most of Trump's policies, but I hated how divisive he was and a bully. And I hope that in what we got going on right now with Biden and Harrison, I don't really have words for how I feel about that. It's way worse than, he's supposed to be so moderate. His entire life, he's supposed to be such a moderate guy.
He never has been.
You don't think so?
No, not at all.
Well, certainly not since he took office, to say the least, and then goes crazy with all these executive orders. And Harris, know that they're priming us to switch this over to Harris soon. At some point. But my point is, to full circle this, is it's a shame, and I don't have the real answers for it, that we have had our freedoms used against us in a lot of different ways. And unfortunately, this isn't the Norman Rockwell times anymore here in America, but I do hope that we have an awakening to a better federal government in the future that can rectify some of these things, put more power back into the state and local levels where it belongs, where we can govern ourselves more independently to, as we always say, these states are, with many cultures in them, are very different from each other, and they should be governed more independently. So hopefully we can someday get back to that.
I hope we can too, Barry. And I think there are ways to get back to that, but I also believe that if people don't understand the truth of what's happening out there, and I'm talking about back to freedom of the press, then there's no way for them to fight against what's happening. It's as if bombs are coming at them and they have no idea what direction they're coming. They have no idea how to hide from them. And that's really the job of the press, is to let us know these things. And that's really under attack. And I go back to that book that I just started reading about how it's being controlled by the Chinese government. And you take a look at the fact that hey, you know what I learned? I just got to say this, and this, we'll finish here. But on the Chinese government, and they have the yen, and we have the dollar, and every other currency in the world is the value of that currency is judged in international exchange. And so the dollar can go up and down, and we don't have any control over that. And that gives us our purchasing power, right, in the world economy. But there is one country that is an exception to that rule, and it's China. China has the ability to, and I don't know how they have this power, they have the ability to say what the value of the yen is. No other country has that. Okay, so the yen is dictated by the Chinese Communist Party, and the fact is that the Chinese Communist Party has printed more money than any other nation and every other nation put together in world history. Like, for instance, as you were saying earlier, between you and Lisa, you were talking about how this money coming from the federal government has caused inflation. That's part of it. The other part is that the money didn't come from taxation. The money came when they fired up the printing press. And so they print all this money. Yeah. This is the truth. They send it out to you, and that's what devalues your dollar. As you put more currency, as you print more currency, it waters down the value of your dollar. That's how inflation works. In China, if they need $1 trillion more, well, we don't have $1 trillion. Fire up the printing press. It doesn't devalue the yen. That gives them unbelievable purchasing power.
Well, it gives them infinite.
So they can control you. Secondly, you've got all of these businesses that are being invested in around the world that are in China, but China's got a closed economy, and that means that there's no Securities and Exchange Commission. Nobody's over there looking at their books. The Chinese Communist Party says this is what the business is doing, and you have to believe it. And when you invest in China, any money you make on that investment can never leave China. It's got to stay in China. It's completely closed, so that they get the complete benefit. However, these investments on the New York Stock Exchange, because of how China is saying they're doing, are going up and up and up. And this is what made me so curious. Why is it that our economy is having a problem, yet the stock exchange keeps going up and up and up? It's because of what China is doing with the fake yen. And now about 20% of our stock exchange is filled with these Chinese companies. So if China were to come out and say, okay, it was all fake, our total stock exchange would crash completely and the world economy would go down the tubes, incenting people in our government to hide what China is doing to protect our economy. You see how we it's the more I'm learning about what's going on, and then adding the fact that they're in control of our media, so they can spin. They're very good at spin what's happening as nope, it's the 1%. It's white supremacy. It's the elites. It's these and this division that's sown here, so that we're distracted and we're not actually we're fighting each other instead of the one who's attacking us.
For sure. No, that's all for sure. Absolutely. And it's scary. Anytime we start talking economy, I just have to throw my hands up and say and admit it's way beyond me. And it's kind of like quantum physics. I always remember watching one of the leading professors at Case. I watched a YouTube video of his presentation. The first thing he says is, anybody that's going to tell you that they understand quantum physics is lying to you. And that's economy, man. So even our remember who was the guy that was our leading economist nationally, that was almost a rock star for years? I want to say Greenspan.
Oh yeah, Alan Greenspan. He was in charge of the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, correct. And he was like treated like he was the economic genius for many, many years. But I remember towards the end of his reign, he really lost favor with his economic spin, the way he manipulated the economy. And so I would learn a little bit here and a little bit there in college and coming out of college, and how, what is it? Is it Keynesian versus the different economic theories? When your economy is truly backed by gold, there's like no manipulating it. It is what it is. Right. And but then we got away from that. We started manipulating. And so banks now, if they have 10% of what they're lending out backed, that's fine now. It's a complete manipulation. And so it's gotten way, I mean, I think if you think you can explain economy, world economics to somebody in an hour, I don't believe it.
The problem here is that unlike China, the United States does have to report up all of their numbers, and there is oversight on that whole thing, and there is accountability to law on that as well. You do not have that in China. The Chinese Communist Party believes in cooking the books. They can move finances from one place to another, anything, and they use their businesses as their own piggy bank. That's really it. If you're a Chinese businessman, you could be doing great, and the next day you're defunct because the Chinese Communist Party has taken all of your assets. So it's an interesting thing. One last thing I'll say too is that their plan is to control international supply chain. And it's interesting too that one of the people that they're working with is Elaine Chao, who's the head of the Senate for the Republicans, Mitch McConnell. That's Mitch McConnell's wife. Elaine Chao actually has pretty deep ties to the Communist Party of China through her father, who was made rich in the shipping business by working with the Chinese Communist Party. She's actually under Obama was in charge of under Bush in charge of the transportation department, which China made big inroads through her to control the supply chain here. And it's interesting, too, that China can ship a package from China to the United States cheaper than the president can ship a package from the White House to the Capitol because they've been given developing nation status. So basically they can ship a product to you from China cheaper than any company local in Cleveland could ship a product to you.
See, and it's along those lines. That's where I liked having Trump handle our foreign relations, which goes hand in hand with economy. And so I really liked that part of what he was doing for us. But
well, I agree.
I just like the divisiveness that came about from him. But hey, man, just in other current events, we got to start, winding up with a regular part of the show. But did you hear? This was like yesterday that the Rochester Mayor Lovely Warren's husband was arrested on drug and weapon charges.
No,
you didn't hear about that?
No,
no. I gotta pull this up for you because this is off NBC News, and I only just now saw it again in my notes. Thought about it again. Because I wonder what the latest update is. Let me share it with you. And this is like huge. And so
it's a Rochester Mayor Lovely Warren.
Yeah, drug and weapons charges. Mayor says she's been separated from her spouse this is new. This is a new update. Mayor says she's been separated from her spouse for many years, in quotes, and questioned if she's being targeted politically. Oh boy, turning the tables there. It's one of those things where I actually just went ahead and Googled her and images, and I thought, I know this sounds really shallow, but I thought she looks like a really nice, trustworthy person and competent and all of this. This is her husband that was up on these charges. So she's now saying that they've been separated for many years. So I don't know what the latest is. I thought that when I mentioned this to you, you would have an inside scoop.
No. I have no idea what's going on there, but it sounds like a terrible situation for the city of Rochester. Sure. How embarrassing.
I just brought a couple of notes over from the article of yesterday. 7 people were arrested and 2 kilos of crack and powder cocaine were seized, officials said, declining to disclose where the drugs were seized. So, because what we're wondering, was it at the mayor's residence, So,
right.
Does she know how implicated is she in this? Well, she's obviously trying to distance herself right now. Police also seized 4 weapons, a semi-automatic rifle, and 3 handguns and $100,000 in cash. Now, from where it's not been said yet. So this just came out yesterday afternoon. So there is a lot more to be discussed yet. Yeah, it's huge, huge.
Wow.
She's all of a sudden saying that she's being
Jeez.
targeted. Maybe she is. I don't know.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. You just don't know what's going on out there these days.
No.
And you know what else is crazy? It's just you read these stories, and I find myself trying to read between the lines. We've talked about this before. Just like you're doing. It's like, okay, where's the real story here?
Yeah.
Is this woman really a part of this? Or she's dealing crack cocaine out to the community and $100,000 cash.
Right.
Wow.
And there's the additional thing, like, and I'm sure that more and more people feel this way all the time, is that we don't trust our government enough to even trust that they're going to give us the truth down the road, because I think they'd throw her under the bus in a minute if they thought it was in their best interest.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I totally agree. Huh. Yeah. That's a crazy story, Barry.
Yeah, so I got some stuff on the lighter side that it's like, what do I want to share? What do I not want to? I'm going to tell you just briefly about, there's this 101-year-old Holocaust survivor, calls himself the happiest man on earth. And he survived Auschwitz. His name's Eddie Jaku, and it was like originally Jakuwicz or something like that. So after, coming to America, he did what a lot of people did and shortened up the name a whole bunch. So he's just inspiring people all over the place. I got a quote from him that I really liked, because I was going to share the whole story with you and talk about it, but I don't feel like it, because we've really gotten a long ways through this podcast. So he says, friendship is priceless. Shared sorrow is half sorrow, but shared, and think about that. Shared sorrow is half sorrow. That's very true. That's very important that we have people that are close to us, friends and family. We're very social people. So that's what he said. Friendship is priceless, but shared pleasure is double the pleasure.
I like that.
I like that too.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
So very inspiring guy. And to be able to call yourself the happiest man on earth with what he went through, I think that's amazing.
Think about that and the hell that he went through, and
his family members killed, his mother and father killed almost in front of him.
How horrible. I mean, I think that there's two ways you can go. You could be the most bitter person on earth, or because of what you've experienced, even a crust of bread would be like being in heaven, So it seems like he's taken door number 2, where he can see the blessings everywhere, even from a drink of water. Maybe he's got a very unique perspective that most of us are never going to have. Thank God.
Very true. This is another way that times have changed so much in recent years. Is I always thought that people that went into the service, that even actually had to go through a war, were the highest character people that you would ever meet in your life. I still believe that. So it's like, it's a blessing that our generation didn't have to do that, but it's also a curse because our generation didn't have the character as a generation that, say, the World War II generation went through.
I want to talk about this in the after show here. My kid's grandfather passed away this week he was almost 101 years old, and he was on Okinawa in World War II. And, you talk about this character, and this is a man that had I don't think I've ever met anybody like him before. Wow. Great character, hardworking guy, never heard him complain. Wow. Always thinking about other people, not himself, always a blessing to other people. As I was with him over the last week, I spent a lot of time with him at the hospital. I read to him. We talked about, the afterlife and heaven. And we had some pretty deep conversations, and he was, in a bad place, but still the whole time he was complimenting, he was lifting me up, he was encouraging me about my own life. He was joking that he was flirting with the nurses that were coming in. They were flirting back. And he's at 100 years old. He was still a good looking man, and he had that charisma and everything. And he's just Just a beautiful, beautiful person. And if you think about Okinawa and the literal hell, that was the worst battle of World War II, the last battle of World War II. And this is where the epic kamikazes came in, and just the brutality, the carnage, the meat grinder. He was a part of having to he did the mop up detail. So when the battle would happen, him and his crew had to come in and take all the bodies out and do that kind of stuff. So he saw the absolute worst of the worst. After that battle was over, they all got in to train on another island to get ready to invade the big island of Japan, where they were told that most of them would die.
God.
So that's where they were going. And then, of course, they didn't know about the Manhattan Project and the atomic bomb, which ended the war. They were told that every man, woman, and child on the big island were going to be combatants, and the probability that they would have to kill everyone on that island, just like the last island they were on, was about 100%. And so just imagine how horrible that was. And then coming out of that and functioning in society, and taking responsibilities. And this man was the epitome of just a good, godly, solid man that just was a pillar in our family. William Allen, welcome home.
Yeah, welcome home, William Allen. And my condolences goes out to your whole family. Your family is very tight, very sensitive, and I'm sure this is really hard. So
it has been, but I can tell you this, Barry, my kids, Brandon and Hallie, I am so proud of how they managed through this whole process, how loving they were, how level-headed they were. I hated seeing them brokenhearted, but just the love that they shared with, we called him Papa, the love they share with Papa. They were right in front of him when he passed away. They were all with him. But that's what family does.
Yes.
And
thank God you got the family.
And he had such a loving send-off of everybody around him, and he was able to talk to us for most of the time, and then he kind of started to slip away over the last few days, but we thought he could hear us. We were still talking to him and loving on him and everything. Sometimes he'd move his body. It seemed like he was reacting to us. So he was just all the way to the end. A joy.
Man. That's kind of beautiful. It's kind of beautiful.
It actually was. It was like watching a beautiful sunset.
That's a good way to put it. And as I think of it, it's kind of like, our dreams are so mysterious. And you and I talked before, like I'm always at the height of like my physical peak in my dreams. Like, like I'm very vital. I have this ambiguous age, where I'm maybe in my 30s or something. But I'm not thinking about it. But as I look back, well, anyways, I think that's exactly as he left his body. That's exactly what happened to him. Is he was right back to his physical peak.
I see that too. I was talking to Brandon and I was saying, remember that Little Rascals episode where Spanky was in that orphanage and old man Smith everybody hated him. And he says he rubbed that genie lamp and he goes, I wish old man Smith was my size. And all of a sudden old man Smith shrinks into a kid. And then
I don't remember
him up. I told Brandon, that's what just happened to Papa, except for Spanky didn't beat him up. Like forever young again, you know? And that's really a cool thing, Barry. And I see him that way too, with his wife and his mom and dad and family. And there's just a big receiving line of people so overjoyed that he had arrived. And, we see it sometimes as sorrow because we see it's like saying goodbye to a friend who's leaving on a cruise ship and we won't see him again. But as soon as they hit the horizon on the other side, they can see the ship coming over the horizon and they're so excited that he's coming and they can't wait till he gets there.
That's true.
And there he is, and that's the glory we have to look forward to.
The near-death experiences pretty much all show that. And they all talk about being greeted by their loved ones they don't want to go back because it's the just feeling of unconditional love is overwhelming.
I hear you. When my dad passed away, my mom, and I shared this with my son because he was really having a hard time, but of course. And I said, my mom said something to me at the lowest point, and it's just the deepest despair. And she said, if your father had an opportunity to come back right now, he wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because heaven is just that good. And they don't call it heaven for nothing. Yeah. And it just flipped the switch for me where instead of seeing my sorrow, I could see his joy. And I wouldn't want to snatch my dad from that kind of joy.
Oh, you're right. No. We better is that we just patiently do our best here and wait for our turn to
that's beautiful. Yeah. David said it in the Bible. He said when his son died, he's just crushed, but he said, he can't come back to me, but I'm going to go to him.
Perfect words to end on. We got to get going in.
Amen.
I want to talk more about this on the after show. Thanks everybody. See us at Over 50 starting over. Sign up there.
Bye now.